Hello and welcome back to my top picks of every year. So this is the top 10 games of 1994 for me, and for my number 10 pick here I have chosen Earthworm Jim. And before I get into Earthworm Jim, if you do enjoy these videos, please do like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But anyways, on to Earthworm Jim. Yeah, Earthworm Jim is, as you can see, a platformer shooter game. It is actually very, very difficult, I find. I've never actually been able to finish it legit. Here's the cow looking nervous. I wonder what's going to happen to the cow. Boosh! Off into space with you. Maybe we'll see the cow at the end of the game. I know how the game ends, even though I've never actually finished it. So, what else to say about it? Yes, I believe the game came out before the TV show. They made the TV show afterwards, like the cartoon show. But how I was introduced to Earthworm Jim was through the cartoon. It was just like a really goofy Saturday morning cartoon from the mid-90s, and I don't know, I just found it really funny. Like, Earthworm Jim's just a funny character. He's just an earthworm that just happened to fall into a super suit, and now he's like a wannabe hero / hero. I think he actually does save the day most of the time, but it's maybe down to his sidekicks who are helping him out along the way, kind of deal. And as for the gameplay, I've already said it's a platform shooter that I find brutally difficult at points. I can never get past the underwater stages when you are in the submarine and you can't hit the sides of the submarine into walls and stuff like that, or else it breaks and then you die and it's like game over. But yes, I find it quite charming and like goofy to look at, and yeah, it's well deserving of my number 10 pick. Anyways, let's move along to see what my next pick is going to be. Okay, so my number 9 pick here is Sonic the Hedgehog 3, as you can see right before you. To get this out of the way straight off, no, I'm not including Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles here. I consider them to be two separate games on the basis that, like, I, as a stupid little kid, was unaware that there even was a Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I thought it was Sonic 2, then it was Sonic and Knuckles. I completely missed out on this one in childhood, and that is partially why, like, this is at the number 9 slot, because I don't have the same nostalgic feeling for it. It plays exactly the same as Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic and Knuckles is basically the part 2 to this game. If you do recall, or if you did play this back in the 90s on the actual Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, it was like a 2-slot cartridge thing. So like Sonic and Knuckles was its own special unique cartridge, which you could slot in other game cartridges into the top of the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge, and essentially it unlocked a different minigame. But that's getting too much into Sonic and Knuckles and that thing. Essentially, this is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for me. It's its own separate game, and it's just a little bit more of Sonic goodness. They've changed up the design of Sonic a bit from the last one, and yeah, it's completely fine. I find it more enjoyable to play than say my last pick, Earthworm Jim, solely based on the fact that Sonic games are not really that hard to play. It's look at the I don't think my capture card could handle like the waterfall effects there, so it just like kind of just glitched out a little bit. Yep, it's glitching out quite a bit. It's actually glitching out a hell of a lot in this gameplay footage, man. Anyways, that's my number 9 pick, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. There we go, it looks better now. I don't know why that waterfall was having a hard time with the capture card, but it just did for some reason. Yes, anyways, enough talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It's a perfectly fine entry to the Sonic the Hedgehog series, but let's move on to my next pick. Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Now, it's not my favourite out of the Super Star Wars games, but it's quite enjoyable. My favourite one is Empire Strikes Back, and that's just because of bias. I like that movie the most out of like the original trilogy. But this one is definitely, I find it better than the first Super Star Wars. It's definitely an upgrade with the force powers and stuff like that. Now, there's not a lot of like new abilities. Again, I was talking about like the force powers right then. There's about, I think that's just me struggling to get down some stairs. Enjoy the gameplay, folks. Yeah, Luke has like multiple force powers, and essentially it's just basically showing, hey, he's a fully trained Jedi now, and here he is fighting Darth Vader, father, you know? Bright and colourful, very nice to look at. Again, I don't know what it was about the Super Star Wars games, but they decided to make it brutally difficult. That's why I'm playing this with like cheats. And what else to say about it? I missed out on a lot of like the SNES games growing up, so a lot of this is literally just way later on that I'm coming around to playing these games, and I am enjoying my time with it quite a lot actually with the older titles. So I don't know what else I can say about Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi other than it's very good, but it's very difficult. It's punishingly difficult actually. So hey, if you like a challenge, try it out. But anyways, enough of that, let us move on. And for my number 7 pick here is Donkey Kong Country, another one of those games that I missed out as a kid. But having played it just recently, I like it quite a lot actually. It's a platformer, and the big selling point in this one was it was using like pre-rendered graphics here. So like Donkey Kong and like Diddy Kong and all the enemies and stuff like that, they're all actually 3D models, but just like it's almost like a kind of like claymation-ishy style to it of how they've done it. So it's like 2D sprites, but they've used like 3D models. It's just because of the graphical limitations of the SNES. So it's actually quite very ambitious actually, and it's I don't know if it's a challenging platformer per se, but it definitely has its like difficult moments to it. So it's one of those games that I've been playing on my channel for a little bit, but then I decided instead of like just like solely focusing on it, I'm just gonna like leave it as like a fun game for me to play later on, kind of deal, and like get through it like very casually. But for a 2D platformer, it's got all the hallmarks of like all the other like 2D platformers really. Not to say that all 2D platformers are the same, but like, you know, the whole like your movement, your jumps and stuff like that. I guess that's really what platforming games are really. It's just jumpy games, right? But as for a jumpy game, it's a pretty damn good one. It's a little bit challenging, as I said before. You do have like one hit and then like you're done for. So it's not like you get like a health bar or anything like that. It's like if you get hit once, you lose Donkey Kong, and then you have to revert to Diddy Kong. In fact, I think this is like a tag in, tag out like a thing with this game as well, where you can. I say this because like I've only just recently played it, so I don't know everything about this game whatsoever. I don't know where all the secrets are and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure you can tag in, tag out Diddy and Donkey. I think you can. I think Donkey's like good at like lifting objects or something like that. No, Donkey Kong can. I'm pretty sure you can stomp and hit like enemies, certain enemies, like tougher, bigger enemies. And Diddy has a bigger jump. I think Diddy has a longer jump. And that's pretty much all I can say about it. Let us move along and check out what else I've got on my list. Okay, so my number 6 slot here is another SNES game. Now, I missed out on all the SNES games as a kid, and that's why I'm pretty much just going through them all right now. In my more mature years, let's say. And this game is, of course, Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. That's just me trying to figure out how to aim upwards and downwards and stuff like that before I get into it. Super Metroid, more of the original Metroids. It's actually Metroid 3, from what I've just found out. There was a I think it was called Metroid Samus Returns for the Game Boy. That was kind of classed as, not kind of, it's classed as Metroid 2. So Super Metroid is actually like the third entry in the series, from what I've just found out, and it's basically just the more prettier version of those games, the first Metroid and Metroid 2, Samus Returns. And yeah, it's very atmospheric. It plays pretty much the exact same, I would say. We're gonna see Ridley, Samus's ultimate nemesis now. There's Ridley. What can I say about it? I was playing it on my channel, but then I got to a point where the map for me just kind of breaks the game a little bit. So I think Castlevania and like I'm thinking more so of like the original Resident Evils kind of deal. They'll tell you which rooms you've haven't been in yet. It won't tell you like, hey, you've got all the items in these rooms, because it's not one of those kind of games. Resident Evil 2 Remake was great for like having the map that tells you, hey, there's items still in this area. But with the map in this one, it's pretty much, it's all connected, but it doesn't exactly tell you like where the doors are and stuff like that of the rooms, if you know what I'm saying, kind of deal. Like it doesn't really hold your hand in that aspect. And I found when I was playing it, I was just like having to revert to some like other YouTube guide or something like that just to find out where I had to be and where I needed, and what I needed to do at points. Whereas yeah, at this point in my life, I kind of need to just like get going kind of deal, and like just go through all the games, you know, quickly, not quickly as possible, but like I didn't want to spend as much time on like this one, unfortunately, as like other upcoming titles that I've got to play on my channel. But it was more of the same. I really enjoyed what I played, but it got to the point where I was getting very confused, and yeah, I feel like this is the kind of game that I am going to have to need to use, unfortunately, a guide for, because it's one of those big open labyrinthian games where there's a lot of places to go and a lot of stuff to do. And yeah, it was enjoyable for the small amount of time I played with it, so much so that I put this numbered slot right here. And yeah, I believe that's all I've got to say about the Metroid series until I actually get up to the Prime games, which I hopefully will actually sit down and go through. I won't just like get stuck in them and be like, oh well, I give up now. Unlike with this one. So yeah, let's check out what's next. Alright, so my number 5 spot here goes to the arcade game from Capcom of Alien vs Predator. Now, as you can see here, it's an arcade game with 3 players, and it's based on like the highly successful Aliens vs Predator franchise, and there's some boob physics right there for you. This is my co-op playthrough actually with my brother and his at the time girlfriend. So what can I say about this? This one, it's at number 5 because literally it's just like the aliens and predators that are in the game. No, it's not literally that. It's a bloody good arcade like beat 'em up game, let's say. Same vein as like is it the Final Fight games and stuff like that, Streets of Rage, that kind of like style of gameplay. Just like go around, smash them, beat 'em up. Yeah, that's the right term for it. Here's some footage of Predator 2 for you. You have to look at it on the channel and like figure out what I'm talking about here. But yeah, what was I trying to say about this? Oh yes. This has quite a bit of nostalgic significance for me. I recall going to Spain as a small child, and there was this restaurant. It wasn't a restaurant. It was more of like a bar. Yeah, it was a bar. It had bar grub. And it was like a very open bar place. I keep trying to explain the story, even though I've only been to this location once in my life. It was essentially a bar, and in the back of the bar It had a family bar. It wasn't just like, hey, kids drink for free, you know, whatever. It was this arcade cabinet was at the back of the room, and I was like, what's this? And it was just me and my brother, and we found it, and it was just like, it's Alien vs Predator. And I don't think we actually saw any of the Predator films at this point. I think we saw Predator a few years afterwards. We would have been 5 years old when we played this, and we've already like watched the first 2 Alien movies from, like, you know, Ridley Scott and James Cameron, so we're already acclimatized to like the aliens, and we thought this is fucking, you know, really, really cool franchise. And this game just blew our minds because back in 1994, these like 2D pixel art graphics were unbelievably like good in comparison to like what the consoles were doing, and it was just something else. I still have nostalgic feelings for like this game, but I'm not playing it ever again. This is the last time I'm going through these games, or so I say. And I can't really say much else other than it's definitely something that I'd recommend anyone check out. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so here we have it. The number 4 slot is going to the absolute best game, like my favourite games on the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis, and number 4 here is Psychoknuckles. Now this was it just came out at the perfect time for me. Like I got my Sega pretty late on into the game, or late on in its life cycle, shall I say. So the PlayStation had just come out, from what I believe, at that point, but all the poor kids, or all the kids that didn't know any better, like from my primary school, we all had Segas. We ended up getting like PlayStations a little bit later on, because believe it or not, like you can't have everything when you're a child, and what we had was great. We had Segas, and this was just something else. I already got into the Sega through like Golden Axe and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 specifically, and with like the popularity of Sonic the Hedgehog, there was like a cartoon show, the one with like Fat Sonic who eats chili dogs, and it had the messages at the end of like, don't smoke kids, it's bad, Sonic says, kind of deal. And yeah, I just recall, I get weird kind of like, this is gonna be very strange, but like Christmas feelings when I play these games, especially the next few games that I'm about to talk about, like my number 4, 3 and 2 slots here. This is my number 4 favourite game of 1994. And yeah, I don't know why, I just have this like very, very nostalgic, like Christmassy kind of feel to it. I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking about right now when I'm talking about that, but it's just like a point in my life where I guess it's just like when you, I think I'm getting to the point where when you were a child, Christmas was like very like special and important to you, because it was magical. You didn't know any better. Like Father Christmas was real and stuff like that, and like as stupid and as lame as it sounds, it was like Sonic the Hedgehog was real to me, and this was just like yeah, I don't know what it is about it. There's definitely something about like the 2D Sonics that got a lot of people, and something that amazes me still to this day is like every single year since I think it was like when it first came out, 1992 was the first Sonic the Hedgehog game, right? No, it wasn't 1992, it was 1991. 1991 was the first Sonic game. Yeah, there's been a Sonic game every single year since, and that just blows my mind. So it just shows you that there's something about them. And yeah, I can't really say much about it because it's just more of the same. It's like the Hedgehog. You know what you're getting at this point, and yeah, I just love it. I love these games, and every time I think of the Sega Mega Drive, I usually picture this game first. Even though it's not my favourite, it's one of the first ones that pops to mind, Sonic and Knuckles, which is, yeah, it's quite something. Anyways, enough about psychoknuckles. Let's just figure out what my top 3 are, shall we? Okay, so my third favourite game from 1994 is Castlevania Bloodlines here. Now, I'm cheating a little bit because the one that like I played didn't have that corpse on the ground. The one that I played was heavily censored in the UK, so I believe it was called the New Generation. Mine. Something like that. It was called the New Order. I don't think it was called the New Order. I think that's Wolfenstein that I'm talking about. It was definitely called the New Generation. And it's the same as this game, except this game has the blood, so I'm playing the one that has the blood because I'm a bloodthirsty guy. So Castlevania Bloodlines is the first and only Castlevania game on the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis, which is one of those weird things. So it was completely different and unique to me from anything else on the Sega. Bear in mind, I didn't even know what Castlevania was, like, because I never played. I unfortunately missed out on like the SNES and especially the NES. So Castlevania was just something that wasn't on my radar. Like back then, the internet was just in its infancy, pretty much. Only a small amount of people even knew about the internet back then, so there wasn't really. And I wasn't going to read any boring magazines, and for anyone who's wondering, a magazine was like, you know, pieces of paper that had information on it. It's weird, I know, we just have computers now. But yeah, this was just something else. It's like another one of those ones that's brutally difficult, and this, I have to say, this is Capcom back in the day. They had so many great franchises, and it's a real shame for like what's happened to them now. It's kind of like you just have to look at what they did to like the Metal Gear Solid series with that bloody Metal Gear Survive game. I'm going off on a tangent. Let's stick to the games of 1995 here. 1994 here, shall I say? Look at that guy. He's dying. He's a bloody mess. Yeah, Castlevania, it was just like, hey, you have to kill Dracula, and I'm just like, hey, I know about Dracula. I saw this one, like, very old vampire movie with Christopher Lee one time, and it's like, oh, vampire's bad. Even though I think we all love the baddies, really, like Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, all that kind of thing. Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, shall I say. So yeah, this is a Castlevania game where you can choose your character. I believe my brother always chose John Marston, not John Marston. John Morris, who's the guy with the whip, who's basically just Simon Belmont. Just a wannabe Simon Belmont guy. I always play this guy. I think he's called Eric or something like that. I've not really paid attention to the names. I don't really care. I just like the fact that like it's a hack and slash, a platformer that has brutally difficult moments at points. It has a very nice like checkpoint system, not checkpoint system, like password system. Now a lot of people are annoyed with the passwords and stuff like that, especially when like I think the password system in this game is like 12 characters that you have to change and shift and stuff like that just to progress to like certain levels. I'm pretty sure that I would have had to use that as a kid to beat the game. And I'm pretty sure as a kid I would only have beat this game on easy difficulties, because as I was saying before, it is very difficult at parts, especially when you have to deal with like Medusa heads and stuff like that. It becomes very challenging. But essentially, it's just, if you play the Castlevania game, it's the exact same as all the other 2D Castlevanias, really, with the exception of Symphony of the Night. That's its own different kind of style. Yeah, I had nothing else much to say about it other than like it's one of those ones that I think it's well deserving to be my number 3 slot. I love the art style. I love like the way it plays and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it's one of the greatest of like the Genesis, and I think most people will probably agree with that statement. All right, so enough of Castlevania Bloodlines. Let us find out what my number 2 pick is. Okay, so my number 2 pick is Probotector. otherwise known as in like the US and Japan as Contra Hard Corps. Now, I just prefer the Pro Protector. I remember seeing the box art for it. It's like a robot guy, and like I don't know about any of you guys, but back in like the 90s, like Power Rangers was a big thing, and you have these like colourful robot guys. I don't know what it was. It was just, basically I had this whole thing for robots, and I think a lot of kids did at the time, and that's why they changed it to like this kind of design, because of censorship in Australia and Germany. They don't like having fun in those countries because it was a bit violent, and it's kind of like, you can't have people shooting other people with guns, make it robots versus aliens. But on this occasion, I actually don't mind it. I think it's like a better aesthetic, as blasphemous that is to say for like Contra fans out there. But yeah, robots versus aliens, sign me up. It's a very, very difficult game. Again, it's like, it's one of those things where the same is true for VHS covers back in the late 80s, early to mid 90s, when like you're sold on like the cover art really, and the game can be completely different. So there's been so many games where I've just looked at the box art and just bought a game as a child, and then, well, I didn't buy it, I convinced my parents to buy it for me. And then when I've got around to actually playing it, it's been like completely misadvertised completely, and it's just like the worst thing ever. But like, whereas other games would fail at that, this just exceeds it. It's better than like I could have ever imagined, even though it is very, very difficult. Like it's a Contra game, so like if you get hit once, you're done for. Like there ain't no coming back. You die. You have 3 lives. That's it. I think this is how brutal this how brutal this game is in like the UK and America. I'm pretty sure in Japan. Yeah, in Japan you have like 3 hit points per life. But in the UK, the options menu, there's a life thing. There's usually in like these older games like a life counter, so you can like boost it up by like 2 more lives. So I can have like 5 lives instead of 3 that I have right now in this gameplay footage. But I think with this game, the life counter gives you the option to like have less. Like, it doesn't increase, it only can decrease. And it's like, okay. Anyways, Pro Protector, yeah, it was like one of my favorite games of the Genesis. I don't know if it is or not my favorite like Mega Drive game of all time. It's definitely up there. And from 1994, it's my number 2. It's my number 2 pick. So let us go and find out what my number 1 pick is, shall we? Right, let's get to it right now. Okay, so my number 1 pick is Doom 2. It was pretty obvious it was going to be Doom 2. It's one of those ones that I recall seeing the original Doom on a PC, actually, for the first time ever in my life. And how did I get around to playing Doom 2? I played Doom 2 originally on PlayStation 1, and I'll be getting more into the PlayStation 1 version of this game later on in 1995. Yeah, I say that like we're going to come back round to 1995 in like the real world. We're not going to ever come back to 1995, baby. But we will be talking about the Doom port for PlayStation later on. But as for Doom 2 itself, yes, it is more of the critics. They were mixed on it. They were like, hey, it's just the exact same as Doom 1, but it really isn't. Like, yeah, sure, it has like all the enemies and stuff like that from Doom 1, but it adds so much more. It adds like the double barrel shotgun, or the super shotgun, shall I say. It adds a load of new enemies, like the Mancubus, the Revenant, the Archvile. That's actually not in the PlayStation version because like of the code of the Archvile. The Archvile can resurrect enemies, and it has this like fire projectile attack that will just like completely destroy all your health if it hits you directly on. PlayStation version cannot handle the arch file, but like the PC version and this version that I'm playing right here, which is the Xbox Live Arcade version for the Xbox 360, absolutely could handle those things. And yeah, sure, it's a bit more of the same, but like it adds like new enemies, a new weapon. The new weapon, man, like the super shotgun, or just the double barrel shotgun is just, it's iconic, pretty much. I don't feel like it would be a Doom game without it anymore. That's why Doom 3 was so weird. Like there was the admission of the double barrel shotgun in that game. It was kind of like we like, although Doom 3 was going for a different kind of like more horror aesthetic. Let's stop talking about Doom 3. Let's talk about Doom 2. It was the sequel to Doom 1, as we all know. It came out a year after the original game, and it just kicks ass. It still does to this day. It is quite surprising how today's world of like reticles and regen health and stuff like that, how bland and boring they can be, and how, for whatever reason, like I find that this game is absolutely timeless, like Doom 2. I'm just waiting until I get the super shotgun. I know it's in the room. I know it's in that room, the super shotgun. Let's just see it in action. I need to see it in action. Go on. Go get it. It's in there. Go around the corner. There you go. It's right there in the corner. Now pick it up and show that beauty off. There we go. Like how Doom Guy just has like a giant grin on his face. A little side note, I really enjoy how like they, as stupid as it is, they've made the Doom lore so that like Doom Guy here, he goes through Doom 1, Doom 2, then Doom 64 of all games, and then he continues onwards into the new rebooted Doom franchise. I find that is so goofy and stupid, but I just love it. And Doom 2, I can't really say much more about it. It's more of Doom, and that's not a bad thing. That's only a good thing in my opinion. And yes, I hope you really enjoyed it too, if you ever did play it. And if you didn't, get around to playing Doom 2, man. It's like one of the most classic games out there that still holds up. Like, as I was saying before, there's a lot of like first-person shooters that are just the epitome of bland and generic, but like this game holds up. Right, that's about all I've got to say about like the year of 1994. That's all my favourite games that year. Tell me if I'm wrong, and tell me if like you agree with me in certain parts. But as for that, I'm going to call it there. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please do like and subscribe. I'll have more of these in like months to come. Until whatever I do next, bye.